What if everything you thought you knew about Nigeria's past leadership was a lie? On July 13, 2025, the Nigerian government finally declared former President Muhammadu Buhari dead. But wait, many believe he actually died in 2017. If that's true, who ruled Nigeria for 6 more years? Who was the man we saw on TV, giving speeches, signing laws, running Africa's most populous country? Now, explosive confessions and newly released books are shaking the nation. Was there really a Saudi imposter parading as Buhari all along? And what does this mean for the cries of freedom coming from Biafra? In a dramatic twist, the International Criminal Court has officially stepped into the storm, acknowledging Simon Ekpa's case and promising protection from political prosecution. Could this be the beginning of international justice for Biafra? Could Nnamdi Kanu have been right all along? And in the midst of political chaos, violence erupts again in Abia, while leaders scramble to calm a country boiling with anger, confusion, and betrayal. This isn't just breaking news. This is history unraveling in real time, and it changes everything. Stay with us as we uncover shocking truths, buried secrets, and a fight for justice that could reshape Nigeria and shake the entire continent. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has officially acknowledged Simon Ekpa's case, potentially providing him legal protections, fair trial oversight, and rejecting politically motivated prosecution, marking a major turning point in his legal struggle. Meanwhile, Simon Ekpa has justified his controversial online content in Finnish court, stating it was meant to raise awareness about the Biafran struggle, not incite violence, a point that may bolster his legal defense going forward. On July 13, 2025, former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari was officially declared dead. However, many suspect he had died earlier, citing suspicious behavior and previous confessions by his spokesperson, Garba Shehu. A journalist who confessed before Nnamdi Kanu during a podcast broadcast that President Muhammadu Buhari died in 2017 in a UK hospital and was buried privately and secretly without the knowledge of Nigerians. But Nigerian governments went and cloned an imposter from Saudi Arabia to claim he is President Muhammadu Buhari. The clown imposter completed his tenure in 2023, and right now, Nigeria government has officially reported that former President Muhammadu Buhari is dead. However, Buhari's media aide, Garba Shehu, released a book exposing past lies, including fabrications about Buhari's health and the infamous rat infestation story used to distract Nigerians from Buhari's health crisis in 2017. Nnamdi Kanu trends again as people revisit his past claims that Buhari was long dead and replaced by a Saudi Arabia imposter, claims now being taken more seriously due to recent events. Armed men in military camouflage attacked a construction site in Abia State, killing a soldier and a driver, with reports suggesting a cross-border kidnapping gang was responsible. In Burkina Faso, interim President Ibrahim Traoré commissioned the renovated August 4, 2025 stadium in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, with modern facilities, marking a sports infrastructure milestone for the nation. Imo State's Governor Hope Uzodinma has given Fulani herders a July 24, 2025 deadline to end open grazing, aiming to reduce farmer-herder clashes and protect crops in the region. Simon Ekpa has, for a long time, been the subject of intense scrutiny by both the Nigerian government and various international observers. His case has drawn polarized opinions. To some, he is a freedom fighter standing up for the rights of the Biafran people, a region in southeastern Nigeria with a long history of seeking self-determination. To others, especially within certain circles of the Nigerian establishment, he is seen as a provocateur whose words and online campaigns threaten national stability. The problem at the center of Simon Ekpa's struggle is the accusation that he used online platforms to incite violence. The Finnish government, acting under pressure and based on Nigeria's demands, opened investigations into his online broadcasts and political statements. Authorities questioned whether his words were promoting civil unrest, leading to a serious legal battle in Finland. His opponents saw these broadcasts as dangerous, possibly inciting armed actions and resistance against the Nigerian government. However, Simon Ekpa insisted that his content was focused on advocacy. He explained in court that his goal was to bring global attention to the suffering of Biafrans and to call for peaceful self-determination. He rejected the accusation that he encouraged violence. According to Simon Ekpa, the message was about liberation, not destruction. This defense, simple, firm, and built on the principle of free speech, gained strength with a major turning point. The International Criminal Court officially acknowledged his case. That acknowledgement is not merely symbolic. It means that the ICC is now considering his legal situation seriously and will offer legal protections. This includes ensuring that he is not subjected to politically motivated prosecution, that his right to a fair trial is respected, and that his political advocacy is not treated as criminal behavior unless actual incitement to violence can be clearly proven. This development changes everything. For Simon Ekpa, it gives a global stage to his claims and legal arguments. For his followers, it is a form of vindication. They have long believed that the Biafran cause has been marginalized and criminalized unfairly. And for the Nigerian state, it complicates matters, especially if it had hoped to silence Simon Ekpa without international scrutiny. Now, the ICC will be watching. Legal experts from around the world may review the proceedings. Evidence must be solid, and the rules of international justice must be respected. This was not a sudden victory. It came after months of legal discussions, public pressure, demonstrations by supporters, and consistent advocacy by Simon Ekpa's legal team. The ICC does not take cases lightly. It usually deals with war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. So for them to even consider this matter means that they see potential merit in the argument that Simon Ekpa may have been politically targeted. That alone is a massive shift in his favor. At the same time, on July 13, 2025, something else happened that shocked Nigerians and reopened old wounds. Former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari was declared dead, officially. But rather than bringing closure, this announcement stirred new controversies and revived old suspicions. The question now being asked across Nigeria is, when did Muhammadu Buhari really die? Many people, including political observers, journalists, and followers of the indigenous people of Biafra, believe that Buhari died as far back as 2017. The argument is based on numerous strange events, odd public appearances, and inconsistencies in official narratives about his health. One journalist, during a podcast interview with Nnamdi Kanu, publicly claimed that Muhammadu Buhari died in a hospital in the United Kingdom in 2017. According to this claim, the Nigerian government knew he had died, but covered it up to maintain political control. They allegedly replaced him with an imposter, said to be from Saudi Arabia, who went on to complete Buhari's presidential tenure until 2023. This might sound like a conspiracy theory, but the details that have since emerged are making people take it more seriously. Garba Shehu, the former presidential spokesperson, recently released a book where he admitted to covering up several facts about Buhari's health during his time in power. One of the most ridiculous stories he fabricated to distract Nigerians, according to the book, was the infamous rat infestation in the presidential office. That bizarre tale was used to explain why Buhari did not resume work at his desk for weeks after returning from a lengthy medical trip abroad. Now, with Buhari's death finally confirmed in 2025, people are asking, was Nnamdi Kanu right all along? Nnamdi Kanu had long claimed that the man parading as Buhari was a fraud, a cloned imposter brought in to deceive the public. He made this statement boldly, repeatedly, and at great personal cost. Many ridiculed him, called him a conspiracy theorist, and accused him of trying to destabilize Nigeria. But now, those claims are being revisited. With Garba Shehu's confessions and the strange timeline of events, many Nigerians are beginning to believe that there was indeed a cover-up, and Nnamdi Kanu may have spoken the truth years ago. The consequences of this revelation are profound. Trust in government institutions is eroding further. People feel deceived, manipulated, and betrayed. If a president died and was secretly replaced, what else has the Nigerian government hidden from its citizens? This betrayal could explain the deep anger and frustration many Nigerians express today. It is also giving more weight to the calls for restructuring, decentralization, or even separation, such as Biafra's push for independence. Meanwhile, violence continues to haunt the southeastern region. Armed men wearing military camouflage recently attacked a construction site in Abia State. They killed a soldier and a driver. Authorities suspect that a cross-border kidnapping gang might be responsible. This incident shows how security has broken down in parts of Nigeria. The military is overstretched, police are poorly funded, and criminal gangs often operate freely. Kidnappings, banditry, and targeted assassinations have become too common. People no longer feel safe, even in broad daylight. In a bid to control one source of conflict, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State has issued a deadline. He told Fulani herders in the state to stop open grazing by July 24, 2025. This policy aims to reduce the clashes between herders and local farmers, a crisis that has claimed countless lives over the years. Crops are often destroyed by wandering cattle. Farmers try to protect their land. Herders retaliate. Violence erupts. The governor hopes that by enforcing a grazing ban, the tension will reduce. But the problem is complicated. Many of the herders are not local. They come from far northern Nigeria and beyond, and they often carry weapons. Whether this deadline will be enforced or ignored remains to be seen. Elsewhere on the continent, there is a story of hope and national pride. In Burkina Faso, Interim President Ibrahim Traoré commissioned the renovated August 4th Stadium in the capital city, Ouagadougou. This stadium now has modern facilities and stands as a symbol of progress and development in the West African country. It offers a space for sports, entertainment, and community pride. For young people in Burkina Faso, it means more than just football. It is a sign that the country is moving forward, despite all the challenges it faces, including terrorism, political instability, and poverty. Coming back to Simon Ekpa's legal triumph, the acknowledgement by the International Criminal Court is not just a win for one man. It represents a turning point in the global recognition of the Biafran struggle. For too long, the conversation around Biafra has been one-sided. Nigerian authorities often label Biafran activists as terrorists without allowing space for dialogue or political engagement. But international involvement, especially by respected legal bodies like the ICC, can change that. It forces a new conversation. It ensures that the rights of Biafrans, like those of all people, are protected under international law. Are there solutions to the problems identified in this story? Yes, but they are not easy. First, the Nigerian government must embrace transparency. If indeed there was a cover-up about Muhammadu Buhari's death, then a full investigation must be carried out. Truth must come out. The public deserves it. History deserves it. Only when trust is restored can unity be maintained. Second, the Nigerian justice system must become truly independent. Activists like Simon Ekpa or Nnamdi Kanu should not face trial in a climate of political bias. They should be judged fairly, based on law, not emotion, and their right to peaceful advocacy must be protected. Third, the violence in southeastern Nigeria must be addressed not just with guns, but with dialogue. Biafrans want respect, inclusion, and safety. They want their voices heard, not silenced. The path to peace lies in recognition, not repression. Fourth, international institutions must remain vigilant. The ICC's involvement in Simon Ekpa's case is a good sign, but it must follow through, ensuring that political persecution is not disguised as justice. Global powers must also stop enabling governments that abuse their citizens. Silence encourages impunity. Fifth, at the grassroots level, civil society must rise. Journalists, lawyers, educators, religious leaders, and youth groups must continue to speak truth to power. The more people push for justice, the more likely it is to happen. In conclusion, the story that began with legal challenges and strange deaths now stretches across the African continent, touching themes of identity, power, truth, justice, and hope. Simon Ekpa's victory at the International Criminal Court is a sign that the world is paying attention. The official declaration of Muhammadu Buhari's death is forcing the nation to confront uncomfortable truths. The violence in Abia State and the governor's action in Imo State remind us that people are still in danger, and the new stadium in Burkina Faso shows that even in the darkest times, progress is possible. But more than anything else, this moment in history demands reflection. What kind of Nigeria do we want? What kind of Africa do we want? One built on lies and manipulation, or one guided by justice, truth, and fairness? The answers lie ahead. But today, a door has opened for Simon Ekpa, for Biafra, and for every African fighting to be heard. The significance of the International Criminal Court's acknowledgement of Simon Ekpa's case cannot be overstated. For years, the voices of the Biafran people have echoed in various parts of the world, pleading for recognition, justice, and the right to self-determination. Many have either dismissed them as troublemakers or extremists, refusing to separate peaceful activism from violent rebellion. But now, with the ICC recognizing Simon Ekpa's case and offering the promise of legal protection and fair trial oversight, the global conversation has shifted. For the first time, an international legal institution is paying close attention, and that alone begins to restore a sense of justice for a people who have felt ignored for decades. Simon Ekpa's defense in court, where he explained that his social media broadcasts were meant to raise awareness about the Biafran struggle and not to incite violence, resonates deeply with many who have followed his journey. He insisted that his intention was to expose the systematic marginalization, oppression, and brutality faced by Biafrans. His speeches, often emotional and fiery, were reflections of frustration, not calls for war. In court, he argued that the Nigerian government had twisted his words and intentions, presenting him as a criminal for simply speaking out. In many ways, Simon Ekpa's trial is also a trial of modern-day activism. It raises the question, how much freedom do people truly have to speak out against injustice, especially in an era when social media blurs the lines between public engagement and legal responsibility? If an activist speaks about the suffering of his people and calls for resistance, does that make him guilty of inciting violence? Or is he simply echoing the voices of millions who can no longer endure silence? This dilemma sits at the heart of Simon Ekpa's case, and it's one the ICC must now carefully evaluate. But this legal case is happening against a backdrop of national dishonesty, deception, and betrayal, as symbolized by the late Muhammadu Buhari's mysterious disappearance and now officially confirmed death. The reactions to Buhari's reported passing have not been those of mourning alone. Instead, they are filled with anger, shock, and vindication, particularly from those who have long argued that he died in 2017 and was replaced by an imposter. The podcast broadcast involving journalist revelations about Buhari's death is gaining traction again. This journalist confessed that President Muhammadu Buhari died in a UK hospital and was quietly buried without informing Nigerians. The person who later assumed his identity, allegedly from Saudi Arabia, was a body double used to mislead the public for political purposes. While such claims were once considered too fantastical to believe, recent developments have made them difficult to ignore. The timeline, the secrecy, the sudden re-emergence of Garba Shehu with a book full of confessions. It all begins to fit together like pieces of a puzzle that had been deliberately scattered. Garba Shehu's book is perhaps the most revealing piece of this puzzle. His acknowledgement that the rat infestation story was fabricated to divert attention from Buhari's prolonged medical absence speaks volumes. If something as ridiculous as rats occupying the presidential office could be used to mislead an entire nation, what other falsehoods were crafted behind the scenes? And if this deception could be pulled off at the highest level of government, it confirms the depth of rot in Nigeria's leadership structure. What does it mean for Nigerians today, especially the youth who have only known hardship, lies, and disappointment from those in power? It means that everything they suspected about corruption, betrayal, and state manipulation might be true. It means that trust, which is the foundation of governance, has been broken into pieces. And it means that leaders like Nnamdi Kanu, who were ridiculed and imprisoned for speaking truths that sounded impossible, now appear as prophets. The public reaction on social media and in communities across Nigeria has been explosive. The phrase "Nnamdi Kanu was right" is trending once again. Nigerians are revisiting his past speeches, videos, and interviews. Suddenly, those words that once sounded like outrageous conspiracy theories now carry a different weight. Nigerians are asking how such a massive cover-up could have gone unnoticed, or worse, how it could have been silently tolerated by powerful institutions, foreign governments, and media outlets that chose to look away. But while this national mystery continues to unravel, the security crisis in the southeastern region of Nigeria worsens. The attack on a construction site in Abia State, where a soldier and a driver were killed by gunmen in military camouflage, has added to the growing sense of fear. This act was not only a tragedy, but also a chilling example of how insecurity has penetrated the very fabric of everyday life. The victims were working men trying to make a living. The attackers are believed to be part of a cross-border kidnapping gang, showing how porous Nigeria's borders are and how deeply organized crime has entrenched itself in the country. This violence is part of a larger problem that Governor Hope Uzodimma of Imo State is now trying to address with the July 24th deadline for Fulani herders to end open grazing. His directive is bold, and for many farmers in the region, it offers a sense of hope. Clashes between herders and farmers have claimed countless lives. Crops have been trampled, farms destroyed, and whole communities displaced. By setting a firm deadline, Governor Hope Uzodimma hopes to reduce these conflicts and protect both lives and livelihoods. However, this directive is not without risks. Many Fulani herders believe they have the right to continue their traditional grazing practices. If the enforcement of this ban is not handled with care and respect for human rights, it could trigger more violence. Already, tensions are rising. Armed groups may try to exploit the situation, and political opportunists may fan the flames for their own gain. The path to peace requires more than deadlines. It needs dialogue, fairness, and a commitment to justice. And then, amidst all this chaos and confrontation, a different kind of story emerges from Burkina Faso. Interim President Ibrahim Traoré's commissioning of the newly renovated August 4th Stadium in Ouagadougou offers a rare glimmer of progress and national pride. The stadium now boasts modern facilities and symbolizes hope for a better future. In a country that has faced coups, terrorist attacks, and economic challenges, this achievement is more than a sports upgrade. It's a message that life can still be built, improved, and celebrated. For young athletes and sports lovers in Burkina Faso, this is a new chapter. It represents possibility, growth, and unity through shared goals. While it may not erase the trauma of the past, it creates space for new dreams. This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.